أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وبه نستعين إنه خير الناصر ومعين. Today is 24th October 2020, and I have a question, received a question from one of the participants of our class, and I thought to share my answer for the whole group, and inshallah you are able to benefit from it. The question is it possible for a completely purified soul to also have feelings and thoughts of hate and unforgiving? If this is not possible, then why do we feel hate towards the oppressors of Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam? And then continues until the question goes as to Hazrat Fatima salamullah alaiha having been in ghazab and anger with certain people. My answer to that question is number one, tabarra and taballa is a verse, is a command of Allah for His servants. It is in the Quran, in Surah Tawbah, the beginning of Surah Tawbah, even without Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, it starts from that verse. I can't remember the verse to read it now, but if you read the first verse of Surah Tawbah, it's about Tawallah. Tawallah, that it is confessing that I keep myself away, I do tabarra from the enemies of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and so on and so forth. So Tawallah and Tabarra is important, and we have to have it. And so, what about whether it conflicts with compassion or not? How can we have hatred in our heart and it's still within the compassion? How does it affect? Basically, there are two things to say about it here. One is that hatred is because of the intensity of your love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why do we hate someone like that? If he was not enemy of Allah, he wouldn't have hate him or hate her. So it is out of the love of Allah. There are people, ordinary people, as you see, they are not in love of Allah. Okay, they are believers, and then when they see someone who is enemy of Allah and says things bad about Allah, okay, they don't like it, but they don't feel bad about it. They don't hate him as well. It really goes side by side how much we love Allah and how much we love Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. What is condemned and what is a block, an obstacle in connecting to the Haqiqat Muhammadiyya sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or unified field of quantum, uh, it is when that hatred is for your own self, personal, for your personal uh, interest, or when it personally affect your heart. That is where the problem lies. Otherwise, for two reasons, it is that sort of hatred for enemy is good, is in line with compassion. Clearly, one is, as I said, is because of out of the love of Ahlul Bayt and love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you are doing it, so you're already connected to the field, you're already connected to Haqiqat Muhammadiyya. That's one. And second thing is, when it also reaches to cursing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has cursed people, and we, in our heart, we may curse people that we feel they are enemy. We cannot curse people because of what they do to us. We shouldn't. We should have such a big heart to be able to digest that. But cursing within Ziyarat Ashura, we do curse from the tongue of Masum. And Masumin have occasionally cursed people. Cursing basically is the meaning of that lugat, that word is keeping me to be kept away from the blessing. So to be kept away from the blessing is blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is coming down on people, but you have people with different qabiliyat, different receivership. Qabiliyat of the soul is very important. Uh, Consider two pieces of land next to each other. One land, people dump their garbage on it, and after some time, this land corrupts in such a way. When it rains, rain is a blessing for the soil, isn't it? When it rains on this land, it only creates more smell and it creates more sting, and it becomes very disgusting. Otherwise, when it's dry, at least it's more tolerable. But when it's not dry, when it rains on it, it becomes so intolerable because of the hatred it creates in the smell that it has. But the land adjusting to that receives the rain, and what it does, it gives grass, it grows grass in it, and some small wild flowers, and with beautiful and look and beautiful smell. So blessing of Allah is like just like this. When it rains, and the rain like Quran was the rain of blessing. When Prophet used to recite Quran to his companions, some people used to grasp it, put it in existentially, change them, and became lovers of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And for some people like Abu Lahab, it even was worsening their soul. When the more prophets read Quran, they used to put their hand into their fingers into their ears so that they cannot hear it. Why they couldn't tolerate it? Because it takes out of their soul more smells, more of the bad side of them come, so much bad that it was not tolerable by themselves. So they had to hold their ears so that they do not hear it. So that is why cursing is also compassion. Cursing of the very bad people is compassion, but only for the sake of Allah, not cursing for your own sake. So, in as you see, in two ways we look at it, it is very much in line with compassion, and and there is nothing wrong in it, so long as it does not affect us, our own soul. It does not that unpleasant feeling is not for the sake of our own self, because a lot of time it is mixed up. Yes, someone is against the Ahlul Bayt and says something, but also in the meantime, subconsciously, because it conflicts with my own feeling and my own belief, it also creates a sort of hatred in me. And it's not easy to differentiate between the two. A good example of which is Imam Ali alayhi salatu wasalam in the battle of Khandaq, when he was sitting on the chest of Omar ibn Abdul, just before he kills him, he spit into the face of Imam. And Imam stood up and started to walk around for some time until his that sort of anger that was created in his soul was gone away. Then he came back and again sat on his chest and killed him. Of course, he had already cut the leg of Omar and he couldn't go away, so he had to wait there. So that is an example that even Imam can get, that can even happen to Imam. But Imam being able to differentiate between the two type of anger and ghadab, he stood up and he let that ghadab of himself go away, so that he can do and perform his job with the purity of intention. So we have to be careful about it. And also we know that I also to mention that when Hazrat Musa alayhi salatu wasalam, as was asked by Allah, what do you do for the sake of me? He gave a list of the things that he does, from prayer, from sajda, prostration, from all of these things that Hazrat Musa used to do for Allah. But Allah said, you are doing all of this for yourself. When Hazrat Musa asked, so what do I do for you? He said, only your love and hate for my sake is what you do for me. So if you love me or hate me, I'm sorry, if you love for the sake of me or you hate for the sake of me, that is what you do for me. And that is out of the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as I said about cursing and keeping away, and that is also on the line of compassion. So no, it does not really conflict with the compassion, and it is in line with compassion. And inshallah, we are able to distinguish between anything which is for the sake of Allah and or it is for the sake of our own nafs. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.